Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the house buying process in the UK. So end to end, basically like how to buy a house in the UK. Now, although it's super exciting times, whether it's your first home purchase or whether it's an investment property, so a buy-to-let purchase, like there are some things that make the process quite lengthy and a bit complex. So it's important that you make sure excitement for getting that first property does not cloud your judgment and make you skip certain steps and make you do things wrongly. So for example, getting things like the best mortgage product that you can, or even getting a survey done on a property, should not be skipped out on just because you're super excited to complete on a purchase. No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to be in a rush to go and get a property that, one, is maybe going to be unaffordable for you in the long term, or two, is going to be something that's going to be super costly in the sense that you may even regret buying the property because there are certain things that maybe you should have looked into, but because you were rushing, you did not. So now that we've got intros out of the way, let's talk about the first part of the house buying process, which I would say is the deposit. Now, I'll say this rather than maybe your mortgage in principle or speaking to a broker, simply because I feel saving that deposit is the most time consuming part of the whole process. Also, without a deposit, you're not going to be able to buy a house. And we all know that, the house deposit is the most expensive thing that you also need to save for. And so, yeah, that's why I say, number one is sort of giving yourself that head start in terms of saving for your deposit. Now, in terms of how much you should be working towards in terms of saving that deposit, you should do this on the basis that, lenders will generally give you 4.5 times to 5 times, your salary. And so, for example, if you're on a 35k salary, then lenders and banks will likely give you £157,000 to £175,000. And so if you're somebody that's looking to get a £200,000 house, then you're going to have to save up the difference as your deposit. So, £200,000 minus, how much the lenders will give you, and then that gives you how much of a deposit you should be saving. So that's generally how it works for a residential purchase. However, if you're somebody that's looking to get an investment property, a buy-to-let mortgage, then you'll need about a 20 to 25% deposit because that's the criteria that lenders have. They'll give you a maximum of 80% mortgage. The next step in the process is to engage a mortgage broker or an advisor. Now, I'll always scream about how important it is to have a good mortgage broker on your side because it really makes a difference with whether you can get a mortgage or not, and also being able to get the best deals available. So at this point, a mortgage broker would advise on the products that would be available to you based on your salary and also other personal circumstances. So things like, any other outstanding loans that you may have, your monthly outgoings in comparison to your income, and also things like, your credit history and sort of credit file. And so based on that, if you're somebody that's looking to get a mortgage, in the near future, you want to make sure that you keep an eye on your credit in particular because this can make a real difference, especially if you're a first-time buyer. At this point of engaging a mortgage broker or advisor, this is also the point when they should really give you a mortgage in principle. Now, this is basically just a paper statement to say that, a bank or a lender would be willing to give you a mortgage and also exactly how much they would give you. Now, when it comes to going on viewings and putting in offers with sellers, this mortgage in principle is going to be very crucial, and it's definitely going to put you in a better position with sellers because it shows a level of seriousness that, you're not just out here saying that you potentially want to buy their house, but you can support it with a document that says, a lender's willing to give you this much. I just want to also call out that mortgage in principles are usually valid for 3 months, and so they're not specific for a particular property. And so if you find that a property that you wanted to buy turns out to have issues after you do a structural survey on it, then you can use that same mortgage in principle to pursue another property because it's not specific. Step 3 in the house buying process is solicitors. Now, I know you may be thinking it's a bit early to be talking of solicitors. You haven't even been on viewings yet, but I just personally feel getting a good head start on finding a solicitor is so key because you want to take your time to actually find someone that's going to be good. You want to do due diligence. You want to get referral. I always say that it's best to use a solicitor based on referral and not just finding somebody randomly on the internet. So, referrals from family members, friends, colleagues, just somebody that has used a solicitor. You want to do it that way rather than going online and finding one. I say that because finding a good solicitor to deal with your case can really be the difference between completing on time and having a good experience versus having a horrible delayed experience with your house purchase process. And so yeah, you really want to take some time, give yourself that head start and identify who you want to use as your solicitor so that when the time comes you can just quickly engage them and get them to start working on your case ASAP, there's no delay. So now step 4 in the process, property viewing. So this is when it actually all starts to feel a bit more real, you know, exciting times, going to view houses. And so in terms of like setting that process up, you want to start going to websites like Zoopla, Rightmove, Prime Location, all of these property websites, and start like arranging viewings for properties that you know you like the look of. You also want to sign up for property alerts on these websites based on, you know, the type of house that you're looking for, or properties, whether it's a house or flat, you know, terraced, end of terrace, detached, whatever it may be. Also the number of bedrooms that you're looking for. Sign up for all these alerts. You can also sign up for alerts with estate agents. That's another great way to find, you know, properties that may not even necessarily be like on these property portals just yet. So yeah, sign up for all the alerts that you can, and this can really speed up the process in terms of, you know, finding the ideal property for yourself. Now, in terms of being on the property viewings themselves, like physically, you want to make sure that you're vigilant. So, you know, pay attention to the property details and not just maybe how stunning a place might look. So, for example, like look out for things like, you know, signs of like damp or previous leak, you know, holes or cracks in the walls, signs of mold, maybe like thin walls. Can you hear like through the walls? Can you hear into the neighbor's house? Can you possibly hear like all around the house based on, you know, where you are in the property? Is the property even well insulated? Is there double glazing around the windows? Like, you know, these things are key because, you know, for example, if it's not well insulated, you may have to spend quite a bit of money to make sure that, you know, it is, because obviously you want to be warm in your property. You generally just want to look out for like what work you may need to do on the property, because really this is going to inform how much you're going to offer on that property. So for example, you don't want to over offer on a property that, you know, needs a bit of refurb, because really like you're going to have to spend money on doing that property to get up to a standard. So now step 5 in the process is finally placing your offer. So things are really getting real at this point, like you're literally about to buy a house. So yeah, when placing your offer, I always say like you want to place an offer that is, you know, reasonably below the asking price. In terms of how low your initial offer should be, you want to use your observations of the property's condition, as well as also like recently sold house prices. Offers are also usually made through the estate agent. However, if you did the viewing with just the seller, then you can kind of like propose an offer on the viewing just to get an idea of what they say, if they think maybe it's too high or low, and then you can go on to make the formal offer through the estate agent. When making that formal offer through the estate agent, you'll need to provide your ID and also proof of funds, which may be your mortgage in principle. I've actually got a couple of videos about negotiating house prices and also how to make an offer on a property, so I'm just going to link those in the cards. Now, step 6 in the process is to engage your solicitor once your offer is accepted. So at this point, you want to use the solicitor that you identified earlier, and the estate agent may suggest their own solicitor, but I wouldn't personally go with them because I just kind of feel like it's a bit of a like, you know, personal interest thing. So yeah, you want to engage your solicitor and get the ball rolling. Step 7 is time to submit your mortgage application, and this is based on, you know, the mortgage in principle that you got earlier. So at this point, the lender's going to assess you thoroughly to determine how eligible you are for the loan. So basically, like if you can really afford it. So they're going to be checking your pay slips, your bank statements. They're going to be checking your proof of funds. They're going to be checking like, you know, your income is basically against your outgoings, checking on any other outstanding loans that you have, and they're also going to do a full credit check on you at this point. As part of the mortgage application, the lender's also going to carry out like a sort of, you know, a mini survey on the property that you're hoping to buy. So this is basically just to determine that, you know, how much they're giving you as a loan like is worth it based on, you know, the value of that property. And then once your mortgage application is approved, you'll get an official mortgage offer letter through the post. Step number 8 in the process is getting your insurance in place. So this is like your building and contents insurance. So you really want to do this alongside your mortgage application, because it is criteria for a lot of lenders that you have buildings insurance in place at the point that, you know, you have this mortgage ongoing. Even if it's not criteria to have this insurance in place by your lender, I still think it's a good idea to have, you know, buildings insurance, just because it protects you in case anything happens. Your building insurance should start from your exchange date, and so you don't confirm on the policy until you've confirmed when that exchange date is going to be. Also, you don't pay for any insurance until you've also confirmed that exchange date. As well as buildings and contents insurance, it's also generally a good idea to set up life insurance or, you know, critical illness protection if you haven't got that already. Again, these are just for your own protection, because in case anything happens, you know, you're covered, you know, family's covered, and basically you won't have like, you know, that debt of a mortgage on your back, you know, if anything goes wrong. Step number 9 in the process is your solicitor searches, reports, and other actions. So this is the stage when really solicitors are kicked into full gear, they're doing their job, and basically, you know, searches when they're doing like searches on your behalf around that property area to make sure that it's okay and there's basically nothing around it that would, you know, cause any damage or any issues in the future. At this stage, your solicitor will also send you like various reports and documents for you to sign, and they're also responsible for transferring the deed into your name. So basically transferring ownership of that property to you. Your solicitor also helps you agree an exchange date and also a date for completion on the property sale. The next step in the house buying process is your independent property survey. Now, this is to be done after the mortgage application is approved. You don't want to be spending money on a survey until you've at least got a mortgage for the property. Now, this independent survey is different to the one that maybe your lender would have done on the property earlier in the process. This is a structural survey to make sure that the property is sound and to make sure that basically there's no big issues that could cause like a lot of expenses on your side. So basically it picks up any structural issues like roof problems, maybe even, on the floors, like things that could be real issues for you that you'd have to spend a lot of money to, sort out. It's key that you get the survey results back prior to, signing or exchanging of any contracts. And now finally, the last step in the process is your exchange and completion. So basically like you're there with this house purchase process. So the exchange is when you exchange contracts with the seller, and at this point you're legally obliged to buy the property. There's no backing out. And also at this stage you pay stamp duty if it's applicable on the property. Now it's important to note that you should only exchange after your mortgage application has been approved, the surveyor's report has come back, and also you've confirmed on the completion date. Now the completion date is basically when payment for the property is passed over to the seller and you get the keys for that property. So ownership has now been transferred over to you. So you can do with it what you want. If it's a residential purchase, you can actually prepare to move in. If it's an investment purchase, then you can start preparing that sort of process for letting it out. In terms of dates, both your exchange and completion can actually take place on the same day. They don't need to be separate dates. In my case, I did both on the same day just because I wanted to sort of expedite that process. It's an investment property, and so I didn't want to waste any time in terms of like getting tenants in. So yeah guys, that brings me to the end of this video. That is the end-to-end process in terms of buying a house in the UK. I've also got quite a thorough house process checklist which I've linked in the description box in case any of you want to download it. So yeah, if you want some additional steps in terms of like guiding you throughout the process end to end, you can get that in the description box. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye.